All right. Well, since the gang is all here, welcome. Hope you all have a comfy seat, a nice cold or warm as appropriate beverage. Oh, sorry, cat stuff, I guess. Oh, hey, Phoenix. Good to see you. Howdy from Apocalypse Central. I hope you've weathered the. I hope you've weathered the firestorms well enough, Phoenix. It's great to have you in the channel. You just got in, right, Phoenix, before the professor takes attendance for class. You just slipped in and got to your desk. Hopefully in a very cool manner. Ooh, a bottle of vino? Yeah, absolument, demon. Oh, you've been here for a couple of minutes? Well, thanks for piping up, though, Phoenix. Wraith says, I remember I've watched you once before. You were doing world building. Very much enjoy watching world building and campaign prep. Well, this is going to be the culmination of an entire workshop week, so you chose a good time to stop by again, Godfather Wraith. First guest says, speaking of apocalypse, a tornado touched down less than half a mile away 2 days ago. Ooh. Hopefully there wasn't too much damage or loss of life, limb, or property to anyone affected. I'm glad it didn't hit you directly, first cast. Pardon. A hotel got destroyed. Ooh. Well, stay safe out there, please. Oh, Sheeps, I remember you saying that there was some tornado activity roundabouts your parts of your neck of the woods. Y'all live down yonder by the pawpaw patch. Yeah, that's scary stuff, Godfather. Pawpaws were almost completely gone, but I hear there's a farm in central Arkansas that is growing them again. Yes, bring the pawpaws back. Otherwise, people can't live down yonder by the pawpaw patch no more. And wouldn't that just be sad? Phoenix, you're fine. Don't worry about it. This is this is casual conversation, hanging out together. This is, it's us time. Well, for class such as it exists tonight, there's going to be a couple tools that we're going to be drawing on. Yeah, normal lingering first hour. Yep, exactly, Shadow. None of the area around you got hit with a tornado, but I know parts of Oklahoma and Texas did. Yep, that's all a part of Tornado Alley, huh? Reckon. You just got the wind. If you're playing along at home, crack open some kind of an Excel or a calculator if you use OpenOffice, and open up a Word document or some sort of word processor of some kind. This is what we're going to be using in conjunction with the things that we've developed along the way, and of course, a good splash of reference to the Dungeon Master's Guide. And if you don't have the Dungeon Master's Guide with you, don't worry. I have a copy of mine in a digital format that is ready to go to follow along, to help you all follow along with our exercise tonight. You know what? We're going to go over some techniques. We're going to make an outline. We're going to show you how you can bring things together. Show also how you can have creative moments from the work that you've already done. And I don't know, we'll go from there. I don't think we have, like a 6-hour grinding workshop tonight at all. First cast, I'm just about ready to go over it. Ah, you're fine, Phoenix. Forget about it. Forget about it. Ooh. Whatever, I'll keep the cap off. All right, first cast. Excellent, relevant question. We began this journey to make the final adventure in Matty Morg's Year 2. Last week, when we randomly generated 4 different player characters. And we did so both as an exercise to just, unlock our creativity, to make some cool characters, though that was the starting point to everything else we've done. Because now that we've put our DM hat, we've taken our PC hat off and we've put our DM hat on. All this week, we have shown how by referencing the characters that your players hand to you, how much work they're doing for you in determining who they want to play, what they want to play, where they want to play. Going into then the DM side of the workshop, the presumption is that the characters handed to you are the ones that the players are passionate about playing. They want to play this character. You've sat down, you've talked about the characters, you've approved the content that's there, or said, yeah, you know what, I can adjust for that in my world, or in the world in which we'll play. I'll consider that. From there, we took our four characters. Boop, 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 boop. We took our 4 characters and we went through a series of party building exercises so that as dungeon masters, we can better understand what the party looks like as a group. Whether it's mechanically, if we take a look at the spread of skills, languages, tools, we even did a SWOT report where we discussed the strengths, and of course, if we sat down and really committed even more time, it would be a more in-depth SWOT report. But we even conducted a SWOT report on our group, so we can understand the group dynamic. After that, let's actually bring this one up. After that, we found a way to bond the individual characters together by going over not just the mechanics, but who they are because of their backgrounds. Pardon me. If we're presuming that, the characters were generated to the, if we told everyone level 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever, what we did was we went through and we had an exercise in highlighting similar themes among the 4 characters. So that despite having perhaps ideological or behavioral differences, such as our neutral good Diggs-in Nomiel and our chaotic evil Ghostwise Halfling Cantora Snapdragon, they can still find relevant ways that they could work together or get along or find common ground. And it doesn't have to be equal. All the party members don't have to get along in every regard of their life. How many of us do that? How many of you out there have been in a relationship with someone you wanted to be in, and you found stuff that has separated you two? And that's fine. I mean, hopefully it was fine. It didn't, it wasn't bad. But even if we're close to people, friends, family, significant others in some way, there's still differences. And if you take a moment and you have this exercise where you can find the bonds, then you can sit down and this stuff can come up in a session 0. As the Dungeon Master, you could pass this colorful sheet over, or, whatever, modify it as necessary if someone has color blindness or something along those lines. And you can give them this information saying, all right, I looked at your sheets, they're really good. This is what I'm giving back to you, because I think there's really strong things that can be developed over the course of the adventure here. And then lastly, to set up our other workshop elements, we took each of the 4 characters and we said, what are setting prompts, NPC prompts, villains and monsters, or like storytelling themes that we can draw from each of the characters individually, and thereby listing them by listing them, we might be able to then see a trend or find a way to connect more or generate more content that is appropriate to the characters. Or even because if we're sticking to our roleplay prompt, it's not even just the characters. We're syncing our hooks into the player because the player submitted the character and the player thought having whoever made Walshud Gem Cutter wants to play this kind of character. And if we can make content that appeals to Walshud's pilot, then not only is the character involved, we've brought in the player. And the player will be invested because this is their content. This is a methodology for us to be able to shine a spotlight on Walshud. Sometimes as a solo prompt or content, or sometimes it could be through an NPC. There was an NPC that was relevant to both Walshud and Wofax, which ended up being the former romantic partner that inadvertently turned into sort of the boss of Walshud. And how did we get that? Well, step by step, in the next workshop, we worked on our setting. And going through a very basic worksheet that referenced the Dungeon Master's Guide, step by step, we used the prompts that we had along the way, which really helped us make easy decisions, and of course allowed for organic integration to all the elements that we've had in the story so far in the setup. And where we did have random prompts, it allowed us to make really fun, creative decisions because we could reference it back to the party. Even though we made random things, we developed a culture. We developed a lot of stuff here. The setting we weren't necessarily sure about until we even got to the tavern, like the main tavern, and then there's like the rival tavern. Randomly rolled the Frowning Dolphin and the Staggering Eel. Well, water's going to have to play a big part of it, even though our primary biomes are forest and swamp. Of course, that doesn't mean that you can't treat other parts, in another case, but we wanted to make sure we focused on this. We focused on this because we had a ranger player who has these two biomes as mechanical benefits to their character. And so automatically, Walshud is a part of the setting because this is Walshud's stomping grounds, hunting grounds. Walshud's pawpaw patches out there that he goes down yonder to on occasion. Perhaps even down by the sea where the watermelon grows. Dun, dun, dun. Do you know the song? Any of you listen to Raffi when you were a kid? I would also accept Baby Beluga. Baby Beluga? Down by the sea? No? Alright. Well, I tried. Do you know what I'm talking about, oh sheeps? Is that lull because I stirred your noodle up here? All right, Wraith caught the Raffi reference. All right, I'm glad someone did. Oh, all right. So you're laughing through insanity as you're falling into a pit of obscurity. Got it. It happens to the best of us, oh sheeps. Exactly. See, I know ya. By the way, this is the beautiful part about having suspenders. You get to do this. And if you don't, you're missing. You paid for the feature. You gotta be using it. Baby Beluga, what is this, Full House? Only if one of my cats was named Comet. First cast. Oh, very good. All right, so anyway, we made our settlement, and then based on all the document and random rolls, This is all randomly rolled. And yet we've been building culture. We've been building all this. We went into MS Paint. And MS Paint and a traditional mouse and a 2D mouse pad. I'm not using fancy, expensive art equipment here. We made a solid, easy-to-read map of our settlement region, of our city, our, where our adventure is going to take place. You hand this map to your players, it is, you can always add detail. You can also over-detail a map. This is a fine, basic map because it is easy to follow. Oh, this is the farmlands. This is the river. This is the coastal pines. This is the saltwater estuary. Oh, this is brackish water from all the river water. And now we get out to the open sea with shallow water that goes out to 50 feet. And then the darker water is actually where it goes 50 feet to 200 feet or something along those lines. All the important locations are in orange to contrast against the other colors. Here we have some sea arches, and you can see the path that the sea can take through them because of the pink lines. Oh yeah, we went over some very basic and easy to understand topography. You don't need super fancy tools. If you printed this out, yeah, it'd soak up a lot of the ink out of your inkjet. Though your players would have an easy time of understanding this, and... Hey, come here. I'm gonna give you a little DM secret. If you give your players a map where they need to label things themselves, do you know what that does? If your players have to write on the map, what does that do? I trust you. Someone out there. Start the auction at 5,000. Samus, I'm glad you managed to avoid whatever issue it had sprung up there. I might be able to sell it as modern art. Well, first cast, then I have a lot of modern art sitting on this hard drive then, because we've made a lot of adventure maps before. I did read about that. And, in cases like that, it doesn't... I guess it could inspire people. And if you want to be optimistic, if you're pessimistic, it unfortunately reinforces the suspicion that a lot of art gallery transactions are just simply money laundering. And that it's actually a nefarious thing that people just, I'm not going to tell you what to think about it, but I've certainly, there are many mentalities that have sprung up because of art transactions like that. But you know what? That's life. Life is fun and crazy. Exactly. Phoenixina and Noldar, it gets them invested. And well, I hope she gets the treatment that she needs then to get over that, Samus. Yeah. Hey, Cryofrost, welcome. So if you may know as the DM where you want everything to be. If you hand this to your players and give them a pen or a Sharpie or something like that, and say, all right, I wanted to sit down with you. I have a general idea, though I want some input from you all, right? This is session 0 stuff. Pardon. And if you don't know what session 0 is, I guess we'll cover that in a bit. There might be people in chat that can talk about session 0 as well. But But if you sit down with your players and say, you know what, this is where we're going to be taking place, and I wanted you all to help me with the map here. There's a couple locations that I wasn't sure where they should go. And with you having characters that have been born in the area or born to the city, personalize this a little bit. Because look, as the one running the story, can anything be anywhere? Of course. Your players, and I'm not saying this in a, yeah, that's nice player, everyone gets a trophy. I mean, this is legitimate investment. You know that you're going to run the content anyway. And so if you, in a session 0 style meeting, sit down and you get your pens out and you say, all right, so this, this is the merchant ward, and this is the civic ward, and the jail is located on this mangrove island, then you have all 4 of your players who are writing this down and investing their time and interest into helping create the world in which they're going to be a part. Game Moose, thank you so much for the host. Yeah, Leroy, that process of discovery, I'm running Tomb for a crew at the store in a public game. It is a fun, big part of it. Noldar, well, thank you very much for this subscription through Twitch Prime. I'm happy to have earned that from you, and I'll continue to do so. And I'll tell you what, Noldar, and for anyone else who's new here, for all of you that subscribe, your subscription money goes to... oh, there's a couple capsules here that are going rogue. One tried to fly out. Get back in there. Get back in the pit. The subscription money every month goes to buy boxes out of my inventory that I give away for free in a monthly raffle with free shipping to a U.S. address. And so really it's a way for me to give back to the community. I want to earn I certainly want to earn your subscriptions, but anyone who wins boxes through the raffle, and you don't need to be subscribed to enter it every month, they're the people who are here and participating are the winners. Wraith with the session 0 definition. Yes, and that is a good take on it. Shadow, yep, I agree. You went, that's your capsule, Samus, because you were going rogue? Yeah, Leroy. Yeah, it's very good. Phoenix needs a postage sponsor. Well, Phoenix, I know you live, I can't even say across the pond, because it's even further than a pond. Still, if you want to build up a collection, you can get in with a bunch of friends, and you can get minis and other things, and then suddenly, I don't know, let's say it's $40 to send a package to you. If you get in with 3 other friends, each of you throws in $10 in shipping, so you all get the minis and content you want, but each of you has only paid $10 in shipping. Oh, well. And of course, depending on the size of the package, Phoenix, it's something that, if there's something you want, let me know, and I will do my best to research it and let you know how we can approach it. All right. So we made this. Well, I mean, I won't turn down a reference, First Cast. For many people, the highest compliment they can receive isn't so much, mimicry as a form of flattery. The best compliment you can give someone is a referral. If you are in a service-based business, and this is a service in many regards, but also think, do you have friends or family members that are, that sell insurance, that are doctors or dentists, that have a lawnscaping business? The best thing that you can do is to provide a referral. if they've earned your business. So, I won't turn down if someone comes in and says, oh yeah, First Cast told me about you, because people have done that before. Oh, I love hearing it. And it also helps keep me honest and, and presenting a good show to you all, because I have to continually prove myself that I am worth not just your time, but your friend on your word. I want to preserve your honor with your friends. And so on your word, I got to make sure I'm performing to your friend too. Do I have Lizard Folk minis? I have some, yes. I believe I have some. Sandusky, Ohio, Noldar. Or as many people know it, Cedar Point. That's the big amusement park that's like 10 minutes away from me. So, you see how we've built step by step. We made our map. And we can refer back to our settlement as it's been outlined, our map as it's been outlined. And from there, we have made our NPCs. Again, we used a random roll generator, and the Dungeon Master's Guide with a couple of charts. Nothing strenuous. We weren't having steam blow out of our ears because we were overheating. And because of the references that we've had so far, we took at first our random prompts, and then we applied them. We looked at our NPC. We looked at our NPC prompts from that we distilled from our character sheets, and we found one that worked really well. And it actually does touch upon all the PCs. Then to mix things up, we selected the core aspect of the NPC first, and we actually chose. This is actually a current. I should change this to current. Current romantic partner to Wofax. And we went over those details. We had those notes. We made the references. We started with that. And with that core idea in mind, then we added the randomized elements that would make it a unique NPC. And in so doing, we discovered connections that would naturally bring Wofax and Walshud together, and in its own interesting way, even Cantora. And all those connections happened absolutely naturally, despite the randomized nature of the prompts. Because around here, we have a saying that goes, Iwi, it writes itself. And truly, if you develop that attitude of your story will write itself, your story writes itself, Iwi, Iwi, Iwi. You have Owos, you have Uwus. And here we have Iwis. And it does. And it unfolded before our eyes as we made 2 NPCs that referenced back. And after that, we made 2 villains. And we did the same thing. Random prompts that we applied to a villain that made sense. And then we chose a core. We made a hard decision on this is the type of a villain that will directly interact with a party member. It didn't matter who. Because we can find connections, if not grow them, and we certainly did grow them, as now we have, like, the big bad evil guy of the campaign. That started out as nothing more than just a villain was the tyrant, or someone, or not necessarily the tyrant, but someone, his or her, that was in the tyrant's court, that was evil and manipulating the dictator into actually taking these nefarious actions and using the dictator as the face while wanting to run the show, in this case herself. Oh, hello from Buffalo. Yeah, you're not too far away then, Shadow. Machi is here with the Iwi. O'Sheeps, thank you for explaining the orphanage to Samus. And now here we are. We have the start of some NPCs, and we can always make more as necessary. Right? We went through the practice. We went through the methodology so that you can easily bang out NPCs that are relevant to your story, to your setting, to your players. Villains the same way. And it doesn't have to be, when I say villain, it doesn't have to be the villain. These could be, sub-bosses. These could be rivals. Remember, villains are NPCs. They just have a different role, usually in your story. And now, that brings us here. We have some great references. And it's time to explore, how do you go about making an intrigue-based adventure? And if you're super nervous because you're a new-time dungeon master, or who knows. Hey, pal, good to see you. I'll urge you. The Dungeon Master's Guide has tremendous storytelling, creativity, and prompts for you. In fact, Chapter 3, Creating Adventures. If you've never done this before, you can go by the book. And even if you go by the book, it's not a bad book to go by. Hi, Syndrin. Now, I'm not going to read all of this out to you. There are segments that I'm going to go over. Though, it is laid out. This is a core rulebook for a reason. It is going to help empower you, to encourage you, to give you a base from which you can operate. In a storytelling setting where anything can be anything because of any reason, this is a good home base of reference material for you. So you can anchor your themes, you can anchor your tropes, you can anchor your NPCs and on all this to something if you feel you need to. The advice here is wonderful. And if you read it, this is going to build a good core of storytelling advice. Right here, starts on page 71. Come on, you all came to class. Open up your Dungeon Master's Guides. Come on now. I know you can. Are all of these tips going to apply at all times to every session you run in your story? Heck no. You might not have a surprise until 3 months into your campaign, because how can you have a surprise if you don't have a standard, an expectation? Though surprises, as is explained, perform a certain fun function within your story. And even too many surprises can be off-putting to players. This is good advice, because that's true. If your players can't usually expect some kind of behavior, and everything is you going, aha, 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 what are they supposed to latch onto? And you know what? If you're a new DM, you're going to struggle. You're going to have these conflicts. You're going to have players that go, I'm not following this. Or, oh, okay, yep, it's another NPC who's the best at what she or he does. And I guess it's the NPC show because we have always needed an NPC to do something. And I mean, hopefully they're more tactful than that kind of sarcasm. But you know what? You might overdo it. Heck, I've overdone it. I've been running D&D for 14 years. I've been playing it for 20, but I've been running it actively for 14. I still make mistakes like this. I can still have trouble at my tabletop. I've had sessions where I had to stop the story because it was to a point where I felt like there was arguing, and friendships, real friendships, were being threatened by a game of D&D. You say, no, stop. Right now. I'm packing my books up. We're stopping it right here. We're going to pick back up next week. I need to think about this because this has gone too far. And in those moments, even if it was players arguing between each other because of their personalities or their decisions, you know, I as the DM, you know, the buck stops with me. And I took responsibility. Now, of course, this is some things that maybe you don't find in a core rulebook, but this is also why if you talk to other people who've been there before, you know, they're veteran DMs, they've been in the trenches. They've had experiences like that. It can supplement what you read online in articles or in a core rulebook. In our Discord, we have a mentor network exactly for this reason. The Rubble Belt Stalker is a lizard folk, Samus, and I think there's a couple other figures that would fit that would fit pretty close. Whoa, hey, Misfit. Actually, I was on my soapbox. Misfit, you booped in on Oh Sheeps. Thank you for your sentiment, Wraith. You're wrapping up a campaign you're not happy with, even though the players have had a very fun week. We had a player remove halfway, and it mucked up the story. You had a player removed? Oh, no. Hopefully it was nothing bad, like they had to go to the hospital or something. I mean, if it was a good removal, because it just wasn't jiving and it was creating, you know, an antagonizing environment, then sometimes you got to ask people to walk. Hopefully you do it tactfully. Remember, boys and girls, the definition of tact is being able to tell someone to go to hell and they ask you for directions. Me Jenna Talia? Ah, clever. Should all games be player-centered then, or is there a middle ground? Your game at your tabletop, Jenna, your game at your tabletop is your game. All games cannot be the same thing. Heck, if we had 5 different tables playing Curse of Strahd or Tomb of Annihilation, you would have 5 different games with 5 different personalities that have formed 5 different sets of experiences. I would recommend, generally, games would be player-centered because the players in this presumption are coming to you, Jenna, and say, please, I want to play D&D. Here's a character I like. Let me know if you need me to make changes, but I want to play. And therefore, they want to be a part of the story. They want you to include them into something that's bigger than any of the individuals, including you as the DM at the table. Now, D&D can also be played. There's a style that's called beer and pretzels. Very casual. You know, hey, it's the boys and girls. We're sitting at a dinner table. We're enjoying beer and pretzels, and you know what? All of us made characters that are Wizard McWizardface and Slab Bulkhead the Fighter. You know, we make these super powerful, almost, like stereotypical classes because all we want to do is spend a Saturday night kicking in dungeon doors and fighting monsters. Is that player-centric? Not necessarily. That's just rolling dice and having fun killing goblins and skeletons all night. You know, there's probably not a ton of role playing going on. And that's fine as well. You might even have a group that gets together because they may not want the spotlight of inclusion on them. They just want to be a part of something grander, and they trust you as the dungeon master to present a grand scenario to them. And they're happy just sort of coming along for the ride. And this is why things like Session 0 are very important. Hopefully I was able to answer your question there, Jenna. He never showed up and wouldn't participate when he was there. Yep, so you got to ask people like that to walk, Misfit. Excellent stories that you all share. I'm not going to read them all out loud here, but I'm skimming over them. It's great that you're sharing this experience and advice. Yeah, the DM's a narrator. The DM, all the players are co-DMs. The DM doesn't have a story without the players. The player doesn't have a story without the DM. It's a back and forth tennis game of prompts and storytelling. Welcome to Dungeons and Dragons. Even in Beer and Pretzels, you just kick in the door and kill the monster style play. You have to have that back and forth. It's a little bit more competitive. You know, you're looking for the math, not so much the tactful negotiation. Yeah, collaborative story adventure. Very good, Shadow. The Rubble Belt Stalker, Samus. So, there's tons of advice. The game has been out forever. Storytelling is our oldest. Storytelling is ingrained in our DNA. It is who we are. And resources like this are here to help you. Do you want to make a location-based adventure? What is that? Well, you can read about that. You know, do you want to make a dungeon? The DMG will help you make a dungeon, by the way, through completely random prompts at that. Wilderness goals. Same thing. Are they in a dungeon or in the wilderness? Here's prompts. Think about it. You could take it literally, or you could, here's your prompt. You know what? I like where we're playing, so I'm going to modify a little bit to fit there. Right? We used adventure villains last night. There's all kinds of stuff here to help you. And going through a step-by-step, it'll hold your hand. I know, that might sound lewd to some people. It'll take you through the process. You want to make an event-based adventure? In an event-based adventure, the focus is on what the characters and villains do and what happens as a result. The question of where those things happen is of secondary importance. So it's not so much about the setting, it's about what is happening. Here we go. Start with the villain. Determine the villain's actions. And of course, you can go through the different charts. You can go through the methodology of creating a villain, of creating a setting, even if the setting is second banana to what you want to present. Do you know that your evil wizard is creating this big mega spell? That would be more of an event-based, because the wizard can create the mega spell anywhere. In a city, they have to go to the desert, a lost temple, underwater. But you want your players to do things, and you want your villains to do things. So here are some event-based goals. Again, prompts to get you to think. It's all right here. Do you want to run a mystery? Because you might solve a mystery. You might rewrite history. DuckTales. Woohoo! If you want to run a mystery, we got to consider the victim. We have to consider a cast of characters that includes suspects. Also, as the dungeon master, you should think about different clues that you're going to sprinkle throughout the mystery to eventually lead them to the villain the whole time. I missed some chat. The funniest thing is to tell them there are rails, but they will make them. Yeah, they'll go in their direction, Shadow. Sort of a biodome. It would be an interesting setting, Machi. And you know what? Look at this. Intrigue. Oh! like political intrigue, the type of story that all the characters, if you took a look at them, where this is leading to political intrigue or intrigue within this interesting city that has been built out of these, fantasy mangrove forests in the saltwater estuary, that takes place here with this, the dictator of the place, but everyone loves him. But it shows that this evil court has corrupted the dictator for its own personal gain, and et cetera, where everything spills out to involve your players and their characters. This is what we're going to be making tonight. Intrigue adventures are event-based adventures that revolve around power struggles. Intrigues are common in the courts of the nobility, but power struggles can play out just as easily in merchants' guilds, crime syndicates, and temple hierarchies. Rather than dark events and villainous plots, an intrigue adventure typically revolves around the exchange of favors, the rise and fall of individuals in power and influence, and the honeyed words of diplomacy. A prince's efforts to be named heir to the throne, a courtier's ambition to sit at the queen's right hand, and a merchant's desire to open a trade route through enemy lands are the stuff of intrigue. Like all adventures, an intrigue adventure works only if the players and their characters are invested in the outcome. Yellow, 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 yellow. This is why we've built everything off of our players. Our IRL friend players, who have then created characters that interested the players. From the characters, we've built the setting. From the characters, we've built the NPCs. From the characters, we've built the villains. Everything we've built is attached in some way to one or more of the players and or their characters. And if you are going to run intrigue, because intrigue isn't just a simple kick in the door and kill the monster Munchkin style of play. You need that attention because they have to realize maybe a subtle way that you convey something, or they do have to look for some clues to put together, or they have their own desires that they're trying to weave into others. So having that attention, not that it has to be laser focused, but building your players into the world in which they're going to be taking a place is very important. If no one cares who the King's Chamberlain is, or who has logging rights to the Elven Woods, throwing the characters into an adventure centered on those issues will fall flat. However, if having the ear of the King's Chamberlain means the characters can use royal soldiers to help them defend their own stronghold on the borderlands, players will be invested in the scenario. Adventurers usually become embroiled in intrigue when they need a favor from a powerful creature and have to perform a favor in exchange, or when the plots of powerful NPCs get in the way of the characters achieving their goals. This is bread and butter to Vampire the Masquerade and most World of Darkness styles of play, by the way. Some of the event-based goals discussed earlier in this section lend themselves to intrigue adventurers. For example, if the adventurers must uncover a conspiracy, negotiate a peace treaty, or secure aid from a ruler or council, you might be looking at an intrigue adventure. The process of creating an intrigue adventure is similar to creating any other event-based adventure, with two main differences: how villains are handled and how the characters can gain influence. Some intrigue adventures are driven by the actions of a single villain, such as a noble plotting the assassination of a monarch. However, an intrigue adventure can have multiple villains, or no villain at all. And, we rolled up two. One would be more of the main villain. That doesn't mean that there couldn't be many. You have to go to bed? All right, so Sheeps, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Oh, see, yep, you played to your audience, Wraith, and I hope it worked out well for you. Doing a Clue one-shot. Leroy, In a case like that, you can modify it. In fact, I ran a D&D adventure where my players went into effectively a haunted house. And to simulate the events of what happened in that haunted house, we set D&D aside that night, and we played the board game Betrayal at House on the Hill. Each of them played a character in that board game that was more closely similar to the character that they ran in D&D. And so we sat down, we played Betrayal at House on the Hill, and we used the results of that to influence the success and the things that they would find out along the way after surviving the betrayal. It was fun. It was a night of Dungeons and Dragons where we played another game. So these are things for you to decide. I'm not going to read through all of this because this is a personal decision. And yes, you can run an adventure with no villain. In fact, that was a prompt. That was a prompt given. That's in one of our past adventures that we made. Specifically, we developed an entire adventure that had no big bad evil guys in it. No villains. It was fun. Also, influence. Depending on the scenario, you might want to track the party's influence with different NPCs or factions. There are rules about that if you want more rules, or if you want to make a loyalty mechanic. That is in the DMG as well. Yeah, to treat it like renown, it's a chapter 1. You can incorporate honor as one of the ability scores that players have. You might want to track influence on the side. You can base an entire adventure on a framing event, or use such an event to grab the player's interest. Now, this can play into intrigue. This is technically its own thing. And if you're not sure, well, I know what I want to run. I just don't know how to get it started. Hey, Quingar, welcome. So, Wraith, I would like you to do me a favor. Can you please type exclamation point 1D100 into chat? 37. All right. Hey, this actually works. This works well for any of you that were paying attention to our villains. The story opens with an execution. Someone had been caught, apparently a nefarious person, and they're going to be publicly hung or beheaded, or something along those lines. And now that you have your prompt from which you begin, there, Machi. I mean, as much as it's a meme, you are correct. And if you like it, use it. Look, if we roll just a little bit higher, the party members, the adventure begins at a fertility festival. It could be, one of, animal husbandry. It could be, one of the lands and crops. It could be, there's a very famous one in Japan. I forget the name of it. But it is very, phallus-centric. They are paraded through town, and it is supposed to celebrate and encourage fertility. The party... the party can start there. That could have two different meanings depending on the context. Maybe it's the night of the full moon. What does that mean? How is that different? What do full moons do? Maybe someone has lycanthropy. Maybe you never even considered that until you rolled that prompt, and now you did. Or on a full moon, people can see better. Pardon me. People can see better in the dark. People with dark vision aren't. It doesn't count as dim light for them or something. A planar conjunction. And if you don't like it, I don't know, bump it over to a priestly investiture. Samus, send me a message about that. I can't do that right now in the middle of a workshop. Machi, yeah, we did make a harvest festival, and when I come back from break, we're gonna be making a set of wintertime holidays. I really liked our autumnal holidays. We're gonna spend a week in the workshop to make interesting wintertime holidays. So it's all here. Do you want to put a twist in your story somewhere? What a twist. Here you go. It can complicate a story. It can this can inspire you as the DM, whether or not you even enact it. It's here for you. So please make sure that you check out the DMG if you need that inspiration, or even if you've been playing for a while, you've been running for a while, I should say. There's challenge yourself to run something in a different fashion, or if you feel like your creative juices are drying up, get a random prompt. What's an objective? If you feel like the party's just drifting, you're not sure what to do, I don't know, roll 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 7. We have 7 here, so just roll a d8 in chat. Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be chat. You might have your own dice, but you get what I'm saying. I guess I'm so used to saying roll in chat. And you can get into how to create combat encounters, but this is more than what I was hoping to just outright present with the summary, with the introduction of what we're going to be doing. So I showed you how our work has paid off at this step. I've showed you the references that you can go to. The Dungeon Master's Guide is a beautiful source of information and written down experience from others. It can get you an entire set of prompts, and especially if you don't take everything exactly literally, you have infinite prompts from what's here that are all, if you bring it back to the characters, kind of what Jenny was talking about. No, was that Jenny? Yeah, it was Jenny. It's talking about, does everything have to be character-centric? It doesn't have to. Though the characters brought to the table will give you so much content, especially in 5th edition D&D, because of their backgrounds. Especially their backgrounds. And the other parts of them, too. All of this work that we did this week in the workshop was because 4 of our friends each made a character they liked and got back together and presented it to us. And look at everything that we've set up along the way. Yep, you're exactly right, Wraith. You are correct about side quests. Machi says, or just go off the rails and give them a murderous cheesemonger that encases the bodies in wheels of parm. Gasp. You could do that too. Make some memories at the table. And come back through. And, next chapter, if you want to make more NPCs, you like what we do, you like how we do it, there you go. All right. Anyway, we have our prompts. We're all caught up. We have our references. And what I want to do is get up and take a short break. And when we come back, why don't we go over what we've learned and what we've set up so far and apply it and come up with a simple outline for running an intrigue adventure using the materials that we have made. Capiche? Capiche. Let's take about a 10-minute break, everyone. I might have some chips and salsa. Now that we're all warmed up, yeah. Let's create a story. Let's create a story.